I think young men today are not deconstructing completely, but they're questioning established narratives. And I would have been a guy 20 years ago that would have said, I grew up fascinated. I was the kid in calculus class reading my biography of JFK. I would have been better off doing my calculus. It would have helped me down the road. Then my teacher said, put that away. I was reading Warren Commission. I mean, I was kind of the athlete, but the nerd as well. And my friends will tell you that. I took guys to task in the church years ago that speculated there was any conspiracy with Warren Commission, any conspiracy with 9/11. Today, I'm not so sure because I think the veil has been lifted, and I think we've had some really nefarious goings on in our government, and I think it's been going on for a long time. I'm fully convinced today probably that our government was in on the assassination of Kennedy in some capacity. Can't say from the very top echelons down.
I think RFK thinks that.
RFK thinks that, and I think he makes a pretty sizable claim to that. The president apparently has seen the files, and I wish they would release it, but apparently there are still people around today that might have been associated with it.
Tulsi says she's going to release it.
She says she's going to release it. We keep hearing there's going to be a release of it. I hope they do, because I really believe. And if you look at some of Kennedy's policies, you can actually make the case that he had more conservative policies, and particularly with the Vietnam issue and what was going on around the world, that it was advantageous to take him out. I'm more open to that. 9/11 is still a tough one for me to digest as a conspiracy theory. It's just more difficult to think that our government would be involved in something of that calamity. But anymore with COVID. And what happened during COVID, and to see the suppression of truth on the part of our government, entities within the government, the restriction of speech, and questioning, as we had done before, rightly so, questioning any narrative that countered the government consensus, to see how that was squelched and almost criminalized, really, I think, opened a lot of our eyes to these things. And I'm so thankful, because I've said I think there are pastors who get it, and you are definitely one at the very top of the list. Not that you allow that to drive your preaching week to week, but you address it. And there are pastors who just, it goes right over their head, and they don't know what time we're in. And we ask the question all the time, do we know what time we're in? So I think there is some merit to that. I'm not sure how far it goes with 9/11.
I'm not sure either.
And I don't come down on that one way or another, but I know there are people today, solid people that I respect, who will emphatically say that it was a government inside job.
Okay.
I've heard similar things, and you mentioned like this generation being into more of those theories, or being red pilled or whatever. But I think a lot of it stems from COVID. Them saying, "Wait, the government's lying to us, like openly lying to our face." It's like, wait, should we trust these other things that they're telling us are truth or not? And it is like kind of, they see a reversal of the structure that should be, like the government should be the transparent party, and we should be the private citizens, and it's gotten all reversed. They're spying on us and everything.
You're exactly right. I couldn't have said it better. That's exactly
now,
what's
this is a
taking
brief
place.
intermission. The coffee girl has arrived.
Wow. It's so good to see.
Sponsored by Panera
Thank you so much. How gracious of you. Yes.
Yes, we were talking about the Whosoever shirt, and here is our model. Can you see her on the camera showing off the Whosoever shirt? Is she in the shot there, Chris?
Not right now.
Okay, all right, dear. Yes, there you go.
Get her. There
Go to strengthforlife.church and order yours
Thank
today.
you so much.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Very good.
That Panera, I've not been yet, but it just was built recently.
It's right across the street from the church. Yeah.
There.
I think you said it perfectly. And what I'm concerned with is that because young men are rightly questioning things, we can't totally question to the point that we deconstruct to say there's, and this is what might happen with a lot of young ones, that there's no truth. That's a danger, being relativist through and through. But young men are questioning the narratives, and I think it is our duty as older men to point them to the truth. And I think there are a lot of pastors today and venues that I'm affiliated with, as we talked about reform circles, the Theobros and all this, they're having vicious debates with each other, tearing each other apart about, quote, the post-war consensus, how much to question. The older men are condemning the young men for questioning narratives. The younger men are just castigating the older men for being established so thick within them that they can't see anything else. So
there were divisions about COVID. I mean, MacArthur was on one side of it, and guys like Mark Dever on the other side of it, and kind of how to handle it, how to respond to it as a church.
Right.
I don't like seeing those divisions at all. I
Yeah.
wish these brothers would come together on some of this stuff.
I do too. I was COVID it's why I'm so opposed to the new nominee for Surgeon General. I wish that he had picked the Florida Surgeon General, Ladapo, because he's so solid. But
We could just take the Florida government.
take the Florida government, move it up there.
We'd be fine.
And
Pam Bondi's in there.
To me, anybody, and I say this with humility, but anybody that was, I'm willing to give liberty on the vaccine that people were misguided. I think it's a pretty definitive case that the vaccine was damaging, and because it was the emergency use authorization, the way it was rolled out. But anybody that was for lockdowns, social distancing, those things that were mandated to the point of just tyrannical nature,
especially as it pertains to the church.
The church, anybody that promoted that, and said it's okay to restrict worship and to shut churches down, in my mind, lost all credibility. I have a hard time with pastors that opened up their churches for vaccination and so forth. I get some of that. I'm willing to be more charitable, but if you were supporting locking the church down, to me that is almost unpardonable.
As John MacArthur said, Gavin Newsom is not the head of the church.
Right.
Jesus Christ is the head of the church. He doesn't have jurisdiction over the church.
That's exactly
Johnny
right.
Mac drops the mic again.
He did, you know,
and he was right on those issues as far as I could tell.
Yeah, he was.
How to handle COVID, he did great with that.
Oh, he was superb on that. And I had disagreed with MacArthur because in reform circles, the idea of the lesser magistrate, the whole idea of defying ungodly authority and the degree to which you can. MacArthur had taken the position 20 years ago based on Romans 13. There was really never a place for Christians to defy governmental authority, which was not my position and not the position of Sproul and Colson and others in that group. But on this issue, I think it opened his eyes to the level of government overreach. And it's the church's responsibility. We went, Becky and I went and watched Bonhoeffer last night. You know, as he said in there, he wrote, I think, whether it was Letters and Papers from Prison or one of them, that the church is to be the conscience in some sense of the nation. And if the church won't speak to those things, who will?
Yeah, we mentioned this a little earlier, but there's been some sort of a backlash against the government as far as transparency, as far as lies. Like, we want the truth, and I hope this is coming spiritually in a church-wide realm where young men are like, all right, let's be like the Bereans and really search the scriptures and find the truth, because if that's what's coming, there's real hope for generations.
That's it.